we got to get into today. First off, like, share, subscribe, and join the channel. It's your boy Paul. So let's get down to it. We got up first, we got Chris Brown. So Chris Brown ended up getting released, y'all, on bail. So he out, he getting ready to keep on touring. He getting ready for his Chris Ball that's coming up. So the man back on the scene. Congratulations to him. On top of that, shoot, before he even got released today, I said the day before his manager had to drop him off some Chucky KFC and some change of clothes. But he's out and about. Really, so good for him. So next up, let's move on to Kid Cudi. So Kid Cudi is getting ready to testify in the Diddy trial coming up either tomorrow or Friday. The prosecutor is planning to have him up there testifying. So we'll see how that's gonna go. And let's move on to Roy Wade, the rapper. So this rapper ended up getting himself arrested, y'all, and charged with 13 charges for pointing a weapon at somebody, and apparently they allegedly said it was a woman that he pointed it to. So he's being charged with aggravated assault, tampering with evidence. What was else? What aggravating? Oh yeah, criminal damages to property, and weapon, having a weapon during a felony. I said, damn. So you were doing a felony? In reckless behavior. I said, man, baby. I said, it's just going all left and right, left and right, left and right up in here. So let's move on past him. Let's get into the FDA. So the FDA ended up putting out a recall for cucumbers. A company called Fresh Start Produce. Well, they distribute the cucumbers out to restaurants and retailers. So they're recalling. The FDA has a recall because there was a multiple state outbreak of salmonella. Yeah, salmonella, and so they calling a recall on it. So if you didn't from April, if you hadn't bought cucumbers from April 29th of this year to now, please be careful about eating them. Because if they come from Fresh Start Produce, don't do it. Don't do it. But let's move on past that. Let's move on to my girl GloRilla. So GloRilla, baby, come to find out that she had to come on social media because people were saying, oh, it seemed like GloRilla had a nose job. She went, I did. And I said, no, GloRilla. I said they showed a picture. They showed a picture of her when she was a kid to now. And I said her original nose fit her face. But I understand when you get the money and you want to change your output of who you are and you don't like what you see, then you do what you do. I said, congratulations to her. She's still beautiful either way. I said, moving on past GloRilla, let's get into the Department of the Justice Department. So they are actually dropping the reform that former President Joe Biden administration had put in place for Louisville and Minneapolis when the tragedy of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor happened. The reform that he had put in place and worked hard, his administration did, now going to be dropped because the Department of Justice is just removing everything they have done, which is sad. Really it is. But let's move on past that. Hey y'all in the chat, how y'all doing? How y'all day going so far? So let's move on past that. Let's get into who we got let me see. Well, we get into this Diddy case. But before we get into that Diddy case, let's get into something that I just got breaking news for the 11 people that were inmates that were from New Orleans that were actually out. They actually caught another one. The fifth one was caught at his grandmother's house. So now he's been arrested. And it's moving on down. So we got five more to go. So look out in New Orleans, do what you gotta do. So let's move on to this Diddy case. So today was day 8, and we had a couple of people come through. So they ended up having the special agent who ended up raiding his Miami home come back on the stand and continue his testimony, where he detailed him raiding the house and everything, him and them the feds raiding, and he talked about him what he had seized from the house out of Diddy's place. He said from the master bedroom, he said he seized over 25 bottles of baby oil and 25 and 36 bottles, 31 bottles of personal lubrication. I said, why you need all of that personal lubricant? But I forget. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. Then he talked about they found pills, drugs, they found the weapon and stuff in his closet and stuff. So after that, he ended up testimony about that. The prosecutor had their not the prosecutor, the defense, Diddy defense had a chance with him and was asking him to go through detail of that raid, and he ended up telling what happened, that they ended up with 80 to 90 feds ended up going to Diddy's Miami home to do the raid. They also used boats and armor vehicles to get there, and there were 6 people at the residence that were handcuffed. They were handcuffed for over an hour. One of the men that was handcuffed ended up being handcuffed longer because he wouldn't cooperate with the police. So that's what he told about that. So after that, the Diddy defense ended up asking him about his he live in Florida. Do he live in Florida? And down in Florida, they have weapons, right? They keep weapons in their home. So the prosecutor said objection. So after that, he rephrased the question and asked, "Do you have a weapon in your home?" And he said, "Yes, I do." And they ended that with him. So we move on to the prosecutor ended up bringing up a expert, a psychiatrist expert, and the lady ended up testifying about victims dealing with who go through SADA, so the trauma, the psychological abuse, everything, the drugs and all that stuff, and went through that testimony of that. And we moved on past her. We move on to his Diddy executive assistant ended up testifying. This man ended up saying that he actually had to travel with Diddy to all when Diddy went to hotels. He was the one that had to go in there and clean his rooms, and he felt like he personally had to protect his image. That was one of the things that he said. He also said that he also had to set when it was time to go. Diddy go to hotel rooms. He had to set up the hotel room the way Diddy wanted it. There would be a bag where he had to unpack it. There would be clothes. There'd be personal lubrication. There'd be drugs. Everything. Baby oil. And stuff. So he got to unpack all of that. And so he also talked about that Diddy actually would have guests and other female partners in the room too. He knew about that too, the executive assistant. The executive assistant also said that Diddy also called him and asked him to go get some drugs on his behalf. So he said he had to do that twice. One time in Miami and one time in LA. I said, damn. I said, oh Lord. And he said the person that he had gave him a number to call, gave him the money. He showed up. The man showed up, gave him a bag of drugs, and he gave him to Diddy. That's what he testified about. That's all that happened that I got for y'all today. Let me see what's going on in the chat. See how everybody doing. Hey, what's up? How's things going? Hey, LJ, Alex. Yeah, you called it live this time. I said, yes, you did. Hey everybody, how y'all doing in here? Like up the live and stuff. Let me see what's going on with everybody else. In the big 25. Okay. It was on the news today. Okay, but that's all I got for y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, and join the channel. It's your boy Paul. Bye, y'all.